Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Enough channel. In this video we're continuing our team by team preview series by looking at the West Tigers for the 2025 NRL SuperCoach season. So probably one of the more talked about teams going into this season, given some of the big changes to the squad, and I guess the general excitement about the Tigers improving. Obviously, the last couple of seasons have been quite disappointing. And I guess when you put all the players here in the team like this, it's not the worst looking team going around. So we'll see if we can find some SuperCoach value in amongst it all. Starting at fullback, with Dream Buller. So seems to be a few fullbacks at around this price, and it's probably one of the cases where it's justified that they are at that price. They're probably not quite at that elite level of fullback, but they certainly do have that ability to pop off on a given week. So as a budget fullback option, not the worst by any stretch, but I think there is some more upside in those more premium priced options. In the centre wing, I think Adam Doueihi and Olam in the centres. Adam Doueihi's an interesting option, given that he probably will be the goal kicker, just having a look through this squad. And obviously his price has been impacted by injuries, but we know when he's fully fit that 430 represents some pretty good value for him. So one I'm happy to have a look at because it is a bit of an awkward price, but if he shows signs of making some cash, I'll probably be pretty keen to jump on. And on the wings, Taruva coming across from the Panthers, I think is probably the locked-in option. And I'm fairly confident on the other edge it'll be Jarrell Skelton. And Skelton is one I'm super keen on just because he has that SuperCoach game. He breaks tackles, he can score a try, doesn't mind doing the dirty work out of the backfield. As a Bulldogs fan, I'm pretty gutted he left, actually. I would have probably preferred to keep him than, bring in a Tuala or even a Montoya. Because, just from what I saw from him last year, he's a really exciting guy to have on your team. So, definitely in consideration for my SuperCoach team. Again, it might just be the price being a bit awkward. They do have a fair bit of depth in the centre wing, though, so I guess, these guys do need to play well to hold their spot. Like Charlie Staines, Naden, Stafford Toa missed out a bit last year. Even Fatape got a fair crack at it last year, probably didn't quite cement himself. So I mean, if Stafford Toa got a start on the wing at 288, he'd probably be very tempting just because he has done better in the past. He just had a bad run with injury, I think, last year. And then they were using him as a bench utility. It wasn't a great role for him. So in the halves, last year's breakout star, Lockie Galvin, probably, made all the money he's going to make. So don't need to start with him this year. Finu, sounds like he could play hooker round one with Coruscant getting a week off. But, probably will then revert to that bench utility role, which isn't ideal for SuperCoach. Probably, the big in this year for the Tigers is Jerome Luai. So basically, how will he go with, this is truly his team? I guess, sort of always been in amongst the Nathan Cleary shadow at the Panthers and obviously, the great system around him. So I think, he's a great buy for the Tigers. He just has that energy that, you love to have around. But whether that translates to SuperCoach scores, I'm not 100% sure. So he's on the watch list, but I won't be starting with Jerome Luai. Jaden Sullivan as well, probably overpriced for a backup, so we won't worry about that. And so then the forwards, so probably the most contentious person here, Terrell May. So coming across from the Roosters, um, he had some massive efforts for them last year, averaging 61, and people reckon there is still a fair bit of meat on the bone, um, given that there were some games where he only played about 30 minutes, but he showed he can potentially play 80. I think a lot of people are thinking that he'll come over here and he will be playing big minutes every week. Um, but I guess my counter argument is if you look at the supporting cast, like a Dave Clemmer, Alex Twal, Fanua Bole, can all play through the middle, and particularly Bole and Twal can play some decent minutes. Um, so I'm not convinced on Terrell May. He's sort of been in and out of my squad all pre-season. The trials might sort of convince me one way or the other. But at the moment, at 48% owned, I am potentially anti-potting Terrell May. Royce Hunt is another one who's been hyped up coming across from the Sharks. But he very much feels to me like a Spencer Leniu last year. Everyone was like, oh, new club, more opportunity for minutes. And Spencer Leniu just continued to play that impact role off the bench. I think that's what Royce Hunt does. He does it really well, but that doesn't equate to super coach points by the mass. PPM's great, but you need the minutes to go with it. So at the moment, I'm fading the Tigers front rowers, but always happy to be proven wrong in this caper. So I hope they go well. Second row as well, I think Fino's established himself on one edge. With Pupley and Bateman leaving, I think Porter's probably the front runner for the other edge, although I have heard a bit about Alex Seyfarth as well. So, take your pick out of those two, very similar price. Whoever gets the starting spot gets the starting spot. Um, but probably the other really intriguing one is Jack Bird. And so I guess this is also a factor in around why I think Terrell May won't, have to play massive minutes. Is if they do go with this plan of turning Jack Bird into a ball playing 13, it means that you're not playing a Bolle or a Twal at 13. So they're playing as props in your rotation, so then you've got four players, and maybe even Clemmer might just be on the outer. I'll put him as a starter. He might not even get a run. But sort of rotating through those guys and Hunt, coming in for impact might mean that May doesn't get as much as we think he's going to. So I think if Jack Bird does get the start at 13, he's a very interesting option. Obviously, the dual position is useful too. Not a lot of second row forwards and centre wing duels this year. Can think of a few off the top of my head, but not as many as there has been previously. So if Jack Bird gets up, very good option I think for SuperCoach. Appy Coruscant, probably the biggest downside is just missing round one. But if I guess if you are looking for a keeper in the position, you could do worse. And Talon De Silva, pretty good first name, but I think he'll be bench hooker at best. So in terms of, I guess, Supercoach relevance, as I said, pretty keen on Jarrell Skelton, assuming he gets a start. Adam Dewey, I think, has a bit of value, and Jack Bird as well, bit of value. As I said, I'm anti-pod Terrell May, but you know, if you want to go with 50% of the group and bring him in, fair play. And Royce Hunt as well, if you want to take the gamble. I just don't think that there's enough minutes there to make it work. But we'll wrap the video up there. If you've got any questions, comments, thoughts regarding the Tigers this season, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you're enjoying the SuperCoach NRL content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.